Table or truth?
Anybody gets anything out of this show tonight, it's this theme. The Palestinians just have a bad credit score, like the ones from the Gaza Strip. Not everybody, but just as a whole, to be given free admittance into any neighboring Middle East province. So, who's to blame for this? Is it xenophobia from other Middle Eastern countries towards the Gaza Palestinians? And if so, then why the hell are they? Where's this rumor coming from that they all want to get together and attack Israel? Or is the partial fault the Israelis, supposedly, according to pro-Palestinian sympathizers, that Israelis have made it so bad for the Palestinians in Gaza Strip that everything, like every opportunity, was just destroyed? Or is it partially the fault of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip over decades of just not building their infrastructure enough and allowing governments like Hamas to take over?
Working with others in the Middle East, and they always bring in the United States, who's an ally of Israel, and sit at the table. The Palestinians were not satisfied with the proposals. So what ended up happening, we saw this with Jared Kushner under the Trump administration. They went to the table with Israel and other countries in the Middle East without the Palestinians because, it was perceived that they were always the party of no and making things difficult. Well, They took a different tack and were successful in negotiating a deal to work together with Israel and other countries in the Middle East. And then we saw right now what was on the board was between Israel and Saudi Arabia having an understanding.
Right. So things were going
like
okay as far as it seems.
So you say, well, why would Hamas do this now? Well, if you want to break things up because, you're also not at the table. Why? Is when we tried to bring you to the table before, let's say things didn't go well. So,
and I'm assuming same thing goes for Iran.
No, Iran has, with the exception of the nuclear deal that was whipped out with the United States that Trump ended up blowing up. Forgive the pun. No, there has been little negotiation between Iran and Israel at all.
So where
let alone the United States.
Where does the claim of Iran negging Gaza Palestinian Hamas creating this invasion into Israel come into play?
Well,
how is that all related?
Well, what it is, and I have not seen, nor has the United States. As a matter of fact, everyone from the United States that says there's no evidence that said that Iran was behind this attack. Now, Iran does support, just like they do Hezbollah out of Lebanon, and they do Hamas. They supply them with weapons and other stuff, as the United States would say, and other like countries that, support terrorists.
Okay.
And it's not there also terrorists in Syria and other places. So that's problematic.
Okay, so if a space alien was observing all this and trying to make sense of it, on one end you have a bunch of territories in the Middle East that seem to be pro-Hezbollah, right? That at the same time want to take out Israel, according to the word on the street on this one. But the irony is that they won't admit the Gaza Palestinians into their territories because they just flat out don't trust them.
Now, you said Hezbollah. We're talking about Hezbollah in Lebanon, or we talking about Hamas in Gaza?
Oh, my apologies. Sorry. Okay, brain fart. It's
no problem.
Okay, I guess Hezbollah in Lebanon. But apparently it seems like, and I could be wrong about this, but countries in the Middle East are okay with Hezbollah being belligerent towards Israel if things keep arising.
Hezbollah or Hamas?
Well, both, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, let's say there's no strong objections. Right.
There's no strong objections because they just in general culturally don't like Israel there. But are they radical enough to want to endanger everybody, including their own territory, by possibly instigating the equivalent of World War III? Like, it doesn't seem to add up.
We haven't seen that. what we've seen is, and again, the United States have put a couple of carriers in the area, and President Biden has one word.
Don't.
Hyphenate.
Don't.
Don't. That's it.
Don't. Sorry, it just sounds like a good.
No, that's it.
Kind of therapeutic.
There's no.
Don't.
There's nothing else that needs to be said. Just don't.
Don't. Yeah, I mean, okay, so based on all this logic or maybe lack of logic, where do you see things escalating in 3 months?
Well, again, the problem is if Israel has the right to completely eliminate and wipe out Hamas, because we they tried to sit back and let them run the government in Gaza and have their good time, and every once in a while they'll lob a rocket over the border and Iron Dome takes it out. They could live with that, and that's what Israel does. We can live that they are managed; they're manageable where they are.
Where do they keep getting the munitions, though? I don't know.
Iran.
Okay, so once again, Iran is sort of complicit.
Hezbollah, who actually they're bigger, they have a bigger army, they got and better tools, and again, they're also backed by Iran.
All right, and then the rumor that the Biden administration or the government, I guess, naively gave aid money to Iran, but it was the rumor of it not being used for humanitarian purposes, but actually just to boost up the military is just complete hogwash.
Complete.
Even though it seems very unwise to give a country like that any kind of money.
When you say it again, it was negotiated, and again with a hostage exchange, or that's not quite right. We had some prisoners. I wouldn't have called them hostages, and they had hostages.
Did we do any great trades like we did with that WNBA player in Russia for Destro, the munitions deal? Did we do bonehead trades like that, or were they reasonably?
Well, when
trades?
You say bonehead,
what was the name of that woman again? The basketball player.
I apologize for not knowing her name, but I did have some problems with her taking a
hit of weed.
No, illegal drug into a foreign country. And again, this is not her first rodeo in Russia. She's played there before.
Brittney Griner, that was her name. Brittney Griner, yeah.
Very good. But she had taken it in, she had played there before. So, the original arrest was a problem for her, and I just don't know why you would do that. Bring anything that...
It was a dumb move, but what still blows my mind is that you take a WNBA player, right, who apparently wasn't even that great, but whatever.
Wow.
But
how do you know she wasn't that great?
Well, she was a Team USA Olympic athlete, but
you just said she wasn't that great.
Well, okay, you know what? You're right. Brittney Griner, if you're listening to this and you're a hardcore fan of the show, I do apologize. I need to get my stats better. I just heard that you're all right, but... okay, let's just say that it is impressive to make the WNBA. Fine. But you get traded for Victor Bout, a Russian arms dealer who's basically the living embodiment of G.I. Joe's Destro. And for some reason, that was a good trade. I don't.
It wasn't her alone, but and I apologize for not knowing the other hospital.
That's crazy. Okay.
Also released, but again, that was
under our brilliant.
What? So just leave her.
Not to say leave her, but for crying out loud, that guy's basically like Destro from G.I. Joe. You know.
You don't think?
Hey, what's going on? No, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah,
but the thing is that again, the Russians are no doubt tough negotiators, and the problem that the United States and other Western nations have is that
why didn't they?
We have, whether it's Iran, whether it's Russia, and other countries who are snatching up our citizens for later on in order to do some type of trade. And that's the only reason why.
According to Wikipedia, which whatever, just take it for what it is.
Uh-oh.
Mark Fogel, another American detained in Russia for possessing a small amount of marijuana, was also not included in the prisoner swap. The big thing was U.S. Marine Paul Whelan should have been included in the prisoner swap, but for whatever reason, he wasn't. And I'm not trying to make light of it by laughing. It's more like a cryptic sort of head shaking kind of like chuckle here. He wasn't considered part of the swap, but it says, however, Sarah Krivanik, an American detained for a domestic dispute, was deported from Russia on the same day as Griner's release. Way to go, our government. But okay, we're getting off topic though, because we're still talking about the Middle East. My apologies.
And thank you for recognizing.
Yeah, I'm more self-aware than I ever was. I've been doing more. I've been drinking more water lately and getting better sleep.
But getting back to Israel,
yes,
again, where there was a negotiation for some type of, and for lack of a better term, treaty or understanding of trade with or recognition by Saudi Arabia. Again, there are factions, including Iran, who would not like to see that because as long as the Middle East stays chaotic, they're in good shape.
According to my colleague who's pro-Palestinian, or more sympathetic, I should say, to Palestine, in all fairness, he added that Israel has the power to imprison any Palestinian they want, but Palestinians take some Israelis hostage and the world is supposed to stop. Israel's army carries guns. Palestinians get shot for holding rocks. Israel has planes for dropping bombs on people trying to pull children out of rubble. There is no both sides are guilty here. This is apartheid, according to my friend here. Whoever's spreading the message, no one trusts Palestine refugees, is slanderous propaganda. But then again, that would include the actual countries in the Middle East that don't trust Palestinians. I mean, how else do you explain it?
Right.
Like, in all fairness, with all due respect,
what
dear friend listening to our show, I love you, bro. I'm just trying to understand the logic, though, because, like, let's just say it has nothing to do with, like, anyone who's pro-Israeli sympathizing. How does one make concessions for these Middle East countries? You know, like, that won't admit, like, this is historical. It has nothing to do with an opinion. I mean, what does that make them compared to, let's say, yeah, I mean, it just...
Well, they don't put their money where their mouth is. The protests are out there. They, every time something happens with generally it's a retaliation or a suspected problem that Israel takes care of, and then you have protests all throughout the Middle East. But then the money from them countries do not go to the Palestinians, nor do they accept their refugees, en masse in order to help the Palestinians out. So that's problematic. Your friend also seems to be, and maybe I missed it, there was estimated to be 3,000 Hamas fighters who on October 7th
gang raided the borders of Israel and took out an entire community of partygoers in a concert.
So I didn't hear that bit of sympathy because you're aware, I asked that question. Where were all these protesters, on the 8th, the 9th, the 10th of October after that happened? Couldn't find them.
I think the counterclaim individuals are making is that because Hamas doesn't have high-tech weapons, therefore they're more innocent. But one could make the argument in just the jungle law of nature that if a kitten was to kick a bull in the shin and the bull just simply steps on
the kicker is Hamas and the bull was Israel stomped Hamas, that's justice.
Well, it's not because Israel's superior in its firepower, therefore it's supposed
justice. So that's what Israel's goal is to eliminate Hamas. The problem is Hamas is embedded with civilians.
Right. Right. Well, I think therein lies the dilemma, right? This is one of those metaphysical dilemmas here.
The other
He,
problem. Oh, good.
no, I was going to say, like, but historically, you take a country that voted some sort of a gangster government into power. That gangster government gets way too belligerent, ends up imprisoning individuals. Basically genociding anybody of a certain race. We'll just say. They go so far that finally there's some natural retaliation that just seems to be the law of cause and effect. Anybody that disagrees with this, just have somebody punch you in the ass really hard during the week and it being unjustified, and feel that there isn't a part of you that doesn't feel some innate retaliation wanting to inflict some sort of justice on this person. What?
We don't have to get into this now.
Okay.
But punching somebody in the ass?
An ass punch. It's a more diplomatic way of settling disputes.
Punching somebody in the ass.
I've heard that ass punches are a good way to settle disputes because nobody really gets hurt. You just can't sit for a day or two.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
I mean, my circle of friends have never really done this on each other. But knowing a little bit about physics, I would say that because of the typical amount of cellulite or cushioning on a rear, it's not as bad as getting a broken jaw. So if somebody hits you really hard in the buttocks, it's in a way it's a good way to settle a dispute. I don't know if I would promote this to the youth of America.
But I took us off time. I apologize.
No, it's
but
okay.
I didn't know it was a thing.
On a more serious note, the issue here is I don't know how individuals can't see it's almost hypocritical to think that just because somebody or some entity happens to be stronger than you, the said victim, but the said victim decides to attack that bigger entity. So let's just go back to jungle law. A tree sloth decides to bite a tiger. Okay, so the tiger devours a tree sloth just because of the law and the hierarchy of the jungle. One is mightier than the other. Not to say that Israel is mightier than Palestinians, but I'm talking about just the technological infrastructure that Israel might have as an army versus Hamas. Okay, let's just make that clear because there's probably a lot of haters who are going to be like, oh, you take it. No.
But again, your analogy doesn't work.
Well, all I'm saying is that, if that happens and it's just natural jungle law, then it's not surprising that,
Because, again, your sloth is Hamas.
Right.
Now, I'll use the beehive. All right. Mm-hmm. So, you're walking by beehive, there's a yellow jacket, or not bees in the yard. So, a single bee comes out and stings you, don't like you.
Right.
You just stomped on their flower. Right? And you take out the whole hive.
Right.
The queen, who's innocent, the rest of the worker bees, they're all innocent.
I'm kind of a dick if I do that.
So, again, the problem, no one has complained, at least most of the countries have not complained that you're going after Hamas. The problem is the civilians who are dying. Right. And in every war, there are unintended casualties, but the numbers now are 9,000, 10,000 Palestinians. But remember, those numbers are coming from the government of Gaza, which means they're coming from Hamas. So, Hamas, it would be beneficial for them to jack up the numbers. The other thing those numbers do not do is separate how many were Palestinian civilians from Hamas.
Is there at least a small element, do you think, of responsibility for Hamas to use their civilians in this manner to embed themselves within the matrix of the actual fighters?
Well, logic dictates if it was just Hamas, let's say Hamas said to the civilian population, move out to the south, we'll stay here in the north, and we'll take care of Israel.
Well, isn't that
that's not going to last long?
It's not going to last long.
Hamas,
I understand
now,
the logistics of guerrilla warfare.
Will be safe.
Yeah,
and thankful it's okay, you started this.
But then logistically, you shouldn't be messing with a technologically superior army that has better firepower. That's the issue.
Hence it comes back with terrorism.
If somebody's mentioning, they've got sticks and stones, I'm assuming that they mean they has to be Hamas freedom fighters. Because why would innocent civilians want to be attacking Israelis or the Israeli army?
Oh, we saw that currently.
Let's see.
Where you have, young people who are not, I got my air quotes up, Hamas, who are with slingshots throwing stones at Israeli troops.
Okay, so let me make another observation. You'll notice I'm not necessarily, I'm just bringing my friend's points to light.
Yes, I know,
okay?
I understand
So like, I'm not trying to in any way, bro, if you're listening, I'm not trying to in any way poo-poo the claims. I'm actually just making them, as talking points. So let me continue a few if you don't mind.
Oh, he's got more?
He's got a couple more, yeah.
Oh, hit it.
So he had mentioned the Egyptian government is definitely a U.S. puppet at this point. Why would it matter? Well, I mean, again, everybody's entitled. It's fine. Yes. I don't know enough about it.
No problem.
Why would it matter what the majority religion of the population is, which I guess would be Islam for the sake of Palestinians? It's as he was talking about the video because I sent him a copy of the video we were talking about. It's like the dude making the video has the base assumption that countries function as democracies, which is pretty much like believing in the tooth fairy. You're right. Countries don't function as democracies, but then it's true that there is a lot of innocents that get caught in the crossfire, but then why not look at things from the metaphysics of just cause and effect? Because they live in an unfortunate like banana republic or some dictatorship or maybe a gangster government that was pushed into power. Let's just say for the sake of argument, and let's say my friend's right. From what it sounds like, Hamas was forced into power by their own volition, not because the people voted them into power. And as a result, this crap incurs. And now everybody's caught in misery. There was no culpability of the individuals in Palestine in the Gaza Strip in terms of Hamas getting into power. They had no way to control it. Kind of like our own elections in a way, but whatever, right? Like according to him, the problem is that it's naive to think that these countries are not run by basically gangsters or dictators of some sort.
He just said that Egypt was the puppet of the United States, which is ridiculous.
Well, but the other countries, I guess, right? I mean,
like who?
I don't know. We didn't get into that detail. I had to get ready for the show.
You mentioned Egypt. Egypt is not a puppet of the United States.
I'm going to assume he must have meant Lebanon, Jordan.
And they're not either. Are you kidding me? This is fun. This is good for them because they get to not only bash Israel, but as you can see, they keep trashing the United States. When they're burning Israeli flags in their protests, they're also burning the U.S. flag.
Well,
and the U.S. is out trying to at least get as they call it, a pause so they can make an attempt to get the hostages out, one, and two is to get the civilian population aid and assistance.
Share the themes and passages of any wisdom you find in this show to those you love. And don't forget to hit a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next upload.